In fact, he is the chairman. He was elected the chairman. It's a rotational thing among all the African nations, and so it was Nigeria's turn, and President Tinubu is chairman of the African Union for a period of a year. Although it has been said, I think we've had people. Some leaders have actually had more than one term. We'll see how it goes. But in this particular term, President Tinubu, he indeed spoke as the chairman and gave us an insight into his vision. Now, joining us to look at the president's speech, brief as these speeches go, because they can really get quite long, but President Tinubu kept it brief, but, it was packed with some of those things we'll be talking about. And our guest to help us look at the president's outing is a research associate professor of political behavior, Institute of African and Diaspora Studies, University of Lagos, Kayode Esuola. Good morning to you, Kayode.
Good morning today, Yori.
Indeed.
And congratulations on our president's emergence as
indeed. I guess
the principal officer of ECOWAS.
That's right. And most Nigerians will probably feel that way too. It was an opportunity for the president, to serenade democracy. Whatever, it's one of those things where the president had said that, look, you've got to love democracy. There's no better form of government, but it can be a tough mistress. That was significant, don't you? I thought that he brought democracy. There are other things in there, trade, investment, and all of that. In fact, as you know, he's even served notice that he wants to convene an extraordinary meeting come October in Nigeria so that other aspects can be explored. But the president did seem to major on the benefits and values and the advantages of democracy. Fittingly so, do you think, Kayode?
You are breaking now, Yori.
Oh, I see. Well, if you could take it from there, I think the president majored on democracy, among other things, extolling the virtues of democracy, no matter how difficult or challenging it can be at times. Kayode?
You were breaking, Yori. I didn't get a huge part of your conversation.
Oh, so sorry about that. I even repeated, so it looks like you didn't hear that at all. I want to give me.
No.
Can you hear me now? Am I clear now?
Yes, clearly now.
Okay. No, I was saying that. Did you find it noteworthy that President Tinubu, among other things, he sort of majored on democracy and how there was no alternative to it, no matter how difficult it was, it's the best form. An African leader speaking at an event like that, where, those other militaristic tendencies exist in pockets here and there. Did you think that was significant?
Well, I don't disagree with Mr. President. Perhaps I would say it's a bit exaggerated. Democracy today in the world is a very good system of government. That there will never be alternative is what I may not agree with. But as we speak, nations across the world need democracy to be able to develop within their own domestic region, as well as to be able to compete internationally. However, from our own experience in Africa, especially West Africa, I think the president should have included democracy and governance. If you look at all issues that have caused crisis for West Africa, and by extension the entire Africa, they go beyond democracy. They touch deeply on governance. ECOWAS, for instance, is an economic body that focuses on majorly economic integration of the sub-region. And what is economic essentially has to do with fairness in the society in such a way that people will be able to earn their living across the sub-region, irrespective of the political party or ethnic group that they belong to. If there is no governance, this cannot happen. The matter of insecurity, which is also critical to ECOWAS, is more of a governance theme than democracy theme. So the point I'm raising is that beyond just looking at democracy as a nomenclature, if I were the president, I would say I will focus on a situation in which we don't play, we don't joke with democracy across West Africa. But more importantly, I will utilize the opportunity of democracy to ensure that our people have the best governance like they have in other parts of the world. That's just the addition I should make. But there's no doubt that democracy is a very good system. It does not mean that there are no alternatives to democracy. Maybe we have not arrived at it.
Yes.
We don't think that way. It's not rigid. Governance must be emphasized, because without governance, people will not feel the democracy at all.
Indeed. Without governance. And also, President Tinubu remarked that, apart from that, without security, very little can be done. So he spoke on that too. But to return to the first point that you made, President Tinubu, is in complete agreement, because he served notice that there would be, he was proposing an extraordinary ECOWAS summit on trade and investment in October later this year in Nigeria. And the main purpose of that, to quote, is to showcase potentials and encourage matchmaking for businesses to cooperate among the various private sectors. So he's always been an advocate of bringing the private sector in. So there's that sense in which the president was also fully aware that, as you said, it majorly, ECOWAS majors on business, trade, economies, and all of that kind of a thing. In this sense, do you think you could jumpstart the trade? Because I don't know what your evaluation of the trade in Africa, especially our region, has been, and how much more such an initiative as President Tinubu has proposed can aid that.
At present, research works have shown that trade is not a problem across West African sub-region, especially. We're talking about ECOWAS now.
That's right.
However, the trade that is in very good progress across West Africa still operates at the informal level. And I want that to be emphasized, informal level. People walk across West African sub-region and corridor as if there are no borders at all. Informally, much more than the formal aspect of it. I think what the president needs to do is to ensure that we have enabling environment across West Africa, so that as the informal trade continues to grow, the formal one, which is likely to attract more capital investment and development, should also be able to grow. But there's no way this can be done in isolation of especially security. To that extent, one will recommend to the president that he takes seriously the regional plan of action fight against terrorism targeted between 2020 and 2024. Because if there is no peace, if there is terrorism, if there is criminality, formal trading can never resolve. And that is what the president needs to know. And as I said earlier, Yuri, I don't want this to be underemphasized. I want to emphasize it appropriately. Okay? Governance is key. If you ensure that within the domestic policies of the 15 member states of ECOWAS, governance is a priority. And then you align that with your, regional, philosophy. Then 50 or 60% of the problem of terrorism is resolved, because the terrorists are protesting against certain social, economic, and even political circumstances either within their own countries or outside their own countries. So a very good way of approaching this is to ensure there is security. If there is no security, you cannot do business with the other country. And beyond security, there must be emphasis on governance within the sub-region. If you have good governance, insecurity is addressed at 50 or 60%. You can tackle the rest by military efforts. All are interconnected. None can be taken in isolation. But as I said, the regional plan of action fight against terrorism 2020-2024 is one document that the president needs to visit and take very seriously if we are going to make any progress in West Africa at all. I think the economic is more important than the political.
Indeed, Kade. And then when you said that, it reminded me of an aspect of his speech. He was talking about when President Tinubu was talking about areas of the area of strengthening of the institutions of the organization will no doubt help that. It's ongoing right now. So he said, a conclusion of those efforts would actually be of great help. The ongoing institutional reforms of the organization, which would also lead to the kind of things you're talking about, this whole, the governance structure, institutional reforms. Because when bad things happen to our sub-region, such as a coup, for example, it's not always, the ECOWAS hasn't had, maybe because of what you said, that actually it's a body set up for business, trade, industry, commerce, and economies and all of that. It hasn't had that kind of an influence to be able to sort of hold these things in check. So maybe it goes back to the governance that you were talking about, and there are ongoing institutional reforms.
You're breaking now again.
Okay. He talked about speeding up and concluding ongoing institutional reforms within ECOWAS, and that would be of great help in sort of streamlining for effectiveness, better effectiveness, the body. Was that better? Did you hear that without any breaking?
Well, I mean, again, you were breaking in a great part of that speech, but I can pick the idea. The idea is all about strengthening the institutions, which in my view is what we need domestically and across this sub-region. If every member state of ECOWAS strengthens the domestic institutions, then in turn, the international institutions will be strengthened. Protecting democracy, for instance, as you know, Yuri, our own experience in Africa, in West Africa especially, has been cases of coup and counter-coup that are triggered in most cases by bad governance. And that is when you see citizens of a country supporting military dictatorship against democratic government. It is not because they do not like democracy. It is not because they don't know the implications, the contradictions in military government. But it's because they felt they were not being governed well by the so-called democracy. And then they run to the alternative, which is military rule, and they legitimize military rule over democratic system of government. So, if the President Tinubu, in his role now in ECOWAS, wants to be serious about even the political aspect, strengthening our democratic institution, governance must be the focus. Because where people are well governed, they will throw their legitimacy behind the institutions and the entire system. Where they are not, in protest, they go for the alternative. I mean, look at Burkina Faso, look at Mali, democratic governments were taken out of the street and people supported on the street with jubilation military dictatorship and military coup. We must stop that in Africa. That's what I'm saying, that democracy as a nomenclature should not be the focus. It is governance. When people are well governed, they partly build the institutions of democracy and other things in the society so that you can arrive at a cohesive system and forge us forward.
The other thing, although it's still related, President Tinubu seems quite enthusiastic about bringing the organized private sectors of member countries and, sort of pulling them together much better than has been done in the past. So he has an opportunity to do that, and that would indeed be a delightful day when the original idea of cross-border trade without any hindrances, if it is really flowing on an oiled machinery, then it looks like President Tinubu is sort of, his vision is that is what will bring prosperity to us, and all that we can get from prosperity. So he's emphasizing his intention, at least his vision, that the organized private sectors across the region will indeed begin to work together. That is a good thing, isn't it?
Yeah, that's a good thing. That's commendable on the part of the president. That speaks to the original underlying philosophy of ECOWAS. Citizens of ECOWAS, not even citizens of Nigeria or Ghana or Togo. You have one identity card that makes you live and work and conduct other social, economic, and political activities across the 15 member states as if there were no borders. That is the philosophy. So President Tinubu is not thinking in a different direction. He's thinking along with the philosophy of ECOWAS. And I think it's something good, something that is commendable. However, the details of how to arrive at that very ambitious situation will have to be worked out. And in working it out, again, I want to emphasize, governance must be the focus. Let it be taken, Yori, that in my submission to you today, I am making it clear that protecting democracy is good, but be achieved if people are not well governed. Where people are well governed, they will not only protect democracy, they will protect institutions, they will reduce criminality. I mean, then you can have a very cohesive and focused ECOWAS as well as the individual member states.
Okay.
So that must be taken as seriously as whatever you can think about.
Okay, just before we continue, an excerpt from the event itself, President Tinubu.
Commit myself to the principle and rule of law. We had a lengthy discussion this morning. Till now, we must be firm on democracy. Democracy being the best form of government. We sat here, we made some sacrifices for it. We made it to be an example to the rest of Africa and the world. What are we doing? Not only that. Without democracy, there is no governance, there is no freedom, there is no rule of law. We will not allow coup after coup in West Africa.
Okay, a very brief extract there from President Tinubu, at the recent ECOWAS meeting. And in the meantime, Reverend Dominic has come on. Good morning to you, Reverend Dominic.
Good morning, Yori. Good morning to Associate Prof. Kayode.
Okay.
Can you hear me loud and clear?
Yes, indeed.
Yori, for time's sake, Yori,
yes.
Nigeria is ECOWAS. ECOWAS is Nigeria. And I heard Mr. President talk about we will not allow Q. Just like your guest has spoken, Yori, charity begins at home. I just came back from the Southeast yesterday to bury my brother, who used to be deputy chairman to the present APC chairman in Lagos here, you know, when they were in Ojo local government. So he died in an accident in Lagos. We buried him last week, Thursday. Your Southeast is at war. Many years ago, people may say it doesn't matter. It's Southeast. Okay, no. They can be died there. Many years ago in Borno State, we heard about bomb and bomb and bomb. We thought we were safe here. Now we have seen what Nigeria has become. If Nigeria goes into war, there's no ECOWAS. Charity begins at home. Security is issue. Nigerian government must find an answer to insecurity in Southeast. Your insecurity in Southeast is not about unknown gunmen. The people that carry gun in the Southeast, I've said it before, is our brothers, they're our sisters, they're our in-laws. We know them. There's nothing like unknown gunmen. And if there must be peace in ECOWAS, there must be peace in Nigeria. There must be peace in every sector of Nigeria. When we talk about commerce, we know the Southeasterners as people who go for trade and commerce. Like the guest says, it's still informal. But before you go to formal, there must be a strong informal business of commerce before the formal. Let Mr. President of Nigeria, who is strong, who is courageous, fight insecurity in Nigeria first. It's like America and the Allied forces. If we remove America from Allied forces, there's no Allied forces. If we remove Nigeria from ECOWAS, there's no ECOWAS. If Nigeria goes into war, ECOWAS will be in a big mess. There must be security here if there must be progress. There must be security here if we must stop Q. What brought Q? Q is about insecurity or bad governance. And from one problem to other, you see what they call Q. If we must stop the Q in Nigeria, Southeast is at war. I lived there for about 7 days last week. If you are living in fear, in terror, they kill every day. Whether it's in Imo, or in Anambra, or in Ebonyi State, they kill every day. And they carry gun openly. There's war in Southeast. We must hold it now before it escalates.
All right.
Thank you, Nigerians.
Thank you very much, Reverend Dominic, for calling in. Kade, before you come in on that, if you wish, I have to go on a quick break now. So we'll be right back and we'll continue taking your calls. Stay with us, please.
In the month of July, on the 2nd of July, the global community celebrates World Sport Journalists Day. The 5th of July is the first anniversary of the Kuje prison attack when some Boko Haram insurgents escaped. The 7th of July marks 25 years since the winner of the June 12, 1993 presidential election, MKO Abiola, died. His death occurred in 1998. 11th of July is World Population Day, while 15th is World Youth Skills Day. On the 17th, attention is turned to World Day for International Justice, while 18th of July is Nelson Mandela Day to honor the former South African leader. 25th of July is the World Diaspora Day, and on the 20th, the World Hepatitis Day is commemorated, as well as the World Nature Conservation Day. On the 29th of July, President Bola Tinubu will mark 2 months in office. And the 30th of July is World Day Against Trafficking in Persons. Brace up and tune in to TVC News for in-depth analysis and reports. TVC News, first with breaking news.
Okay, welcome back, and my guest is Kayode Esuola. He's Research Associate Professor of Political Behavior, Institute of International Affairs, I beg your pardon, Institute of African and Diaspora Studies of the University of Lagos. Sorry, Kayode. I don't know how I wanted to take you from University of Lagos to the Institute of International Affairs. Okay, but just before, Kayode, can you hear me? Just before we went on the break, Reverend Dominic had called in, and he had made the observation that things were not the way they should be in a part of Nigeria, particularly the southeast. And he said this is worrying. He even said that he spoke about, strife, war, and all of that, and that something needs to be done. Kayode, not yet. The president also spoke about this on his visit to the ECOWAS summit, where he took over from President Umaru Sissoco Embolo of Guinea-Bissau. And I quote here, he observed that there is the Regional Plan of Action on Fight Against Terrorism 2020 to 2024 on the ground, as well as the operationalization of the ECOWAS standby force on fight against terrorism. That was observed by our president. Now, he had said that he's going to ensure that we immediately harmonize these plans and mobilize resources, as well as the political will, which I think is important, as well as the political will towards the actualization of those initiatives. Kayode, can you hear me? Okay. Meanwhile, we have a caller from the UK, calling in from the UK. Good morning to you. Tony in the UK, good morning.
Yes, Senator, I do listen to your program, and I do enjoy some. I'm getting out of what you're discussing now, just to reflect, flashback. Everybody has felt the crunch of the politicians and how the government is doing. Referring back now, everybody has, even the market women or the people in the kitchen, they've all seen the economic crunch of the country. Now everybody has realized what is going on. Now, I'm trying to say the Kano's agitation has come to a reality. Everybody has known what he was agitating for. What is stopping you people from talking about him and how to release him?
Oh, okay. Tony in the UK. Okay, no wonder you said you want to sort of do a flashback out of the subject matter that we're discussing. Indeed, the question you ask is a germane one, but it doesn't fit into our conversation this morning, Tony. So I don't know if you will indulge us when we can come up with that conversation. We will be sure to. But right now we're focusing on President Tinubu and his ideas upon taking over as the current chairman of ECOWAS. And our guest for that is Kayode Esuola. I don't even know if we still have a connection with him. But I think this is coming, Tony, from Reverend Dominic calling in and saying that he was not very happy when he traveled to the southeast and saw that there wasn't peace in there. People were openly carrying arms, and there was something needed to be done. And I was just observing that, ECOWAS itself is aware of problem areas in Africa, so much so that the president was speaking, about the original plan of action on the fight against terrorism for 2020 to 2024. Now here we are in 2023, so there's so little time. But President Tinubu was sort of pledging that he would be, he will ensure, and I'm quoting him now, that we immediately harmonize these plans and mobilize resources, as well as the political will to do the needful. So that is perhaps where we might be able to touch on your comments, Tony, because it would fit into that. But as I said, you know, this is the subject matter is now is looking at the president's speech and his pledges and what this means for our region, the success of our region, and it majors on trade, industry, commerce, but at the same time, you can't take away some of the security aspects of it. Good morning, Mr. George, calling in from IKEJA.
Good morning, Uncle Yori, and good morning to the prof you are talking to.
Yes.
Uncle Yori, I listened to the speech by the president at ECOWAS meeting, and I personally felt elated that Nigeria is rising again. You see the body language of fellow presidents in that meeting. And you can see that it is different from the way they were looking at Nigeria and Nigeria's president in the past. And that is how it should be. Over the years, we have been spending our resources on our African country neighbors. And it is not acknowledged in my own view. We spend our military, our money, and resources to ensure security and well-being in their countries, and all we get is insults. I've often traveled along the West Coast by road. Uncle Yori, you'll be surprised the way even in Benin here, in Togo, in Accra, in Cote d'Ivoire borders, how they humiliate Nigerians. You'll be wondering why. Other nationals will pass through the borders without anything. They will see Nigerians, keep them aside. They will make sure they extort money from them and humiliate them before they eventually pass. Sometimes the women are openly disgraced. I have seen these things there. I don't think the government of Nigeria is briefed about these things. But now that a Nigerian president is the head of ECOWAS, I think it's about time we reclaim dignity among our African neighbors. We cannot be spending money and resources on them, and yet they insult us, they do whatever they like, they disregard us. It can't happen again. So it's not only about coup for Mr. President. He should I'm happy with the kind of advisors he's getting. He's going to get real information on how to handle these things, because it is only when he is informed that he can actually take some decisions. Then, again, if you will allow me,
yes,
the situation, there is no precedent. There is no president who is leading an international organization that doesn't have one domestic problem or the other. You cannot say Nigeria's problems must finish before a Nigerian president can lead an international organization. Even America has security problems. And by the way, the problem in the Southeast is self-inflicted. I have said it severally, and I will continue to say it. Only last week, the President General of Ohanes Indigo said that publicly before newsmen that Nnamdi Kanu did not commit any offense. He has done nothing wrong. You have a son who has contravened the laws of his country. He has planned secession against the constitution of the country. He launched a military force. He launched a radio station instigating violence. In the process, he is preventing people from coming out in his own area. And it is telling on the economy of that area. The governors, the elites in that area have nothing to say. They are looking at it as a tool to negotiate political, victory, so that the country will say, okay, let us give them presidency. It doesn't happen like that.
Well, okay, Mr. George, I want to thank you very much for calling in. Surely now you've let a fly into the ointment. In fact, it's not even a fly, probably a bee. But be that is me. Now, a number of things. You must be aware that the action going on in the Southeast, this whole business of stay at home on Mondays and all of that, Nnamdi Kanu of the proscribed IPOB is reported to have said that they are not behind that at all. In fact, that's not them. But unfortunately, it seems that a certain aspect of the power has been lost, and there are other people enforcing it. But as for Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, I think it is out there, pretty much out there, that he is not the person, he is not the one propping this up. But whoever it is, I guess, is the point that is what is important. Whoever it is that is being listened to, this is a challenge. In fact, this is part of what Tony called in on. And I was saying to Tony that that's hardly the discussion that we have this morning. But I think in terms of what we're talking about, President Tinubu's outing at ECOWAS, where he became chairman, there's a program against terror and terrorism within, ECOWAS. And President Tinubu has said he was fully aware of this, and he would do everything to bring this thing to the fore. And most importantly, the political will. As soon as, in fact, I'm sorry we lost Kayode as a technical. I think we can consider it final. I doubt if we'll be having Dr. Kayode Esola anymore. So these are part of the challenges that you... did I hear that there was somebody else on the line? Jerome in Port Harcourt has called in. Good morning, Jerome. I wanted to speak on Tinubu at ECOWAS. Good morning, Mr. Jerome.
Yes, good morning.
Good morning, Uncle. Good morning, sir. Tinubu at ECOWAS.
Yes, I quickly want to touch on what the last caller called to comment upon. I wanted to even comment on what the president of the Indigo actually made mention of initially, coming on air to tell the entire world, because this is not just telling Nigerians, coming to tell the entire world that the so-called spokesperson of the IPOB, organization has actually done nothing wrong. And, I listened to the caller before, he called and was like, there is conflict in the southeastern region of Nigeria, which is very true and very factual. Everybody knows about it. But the truth is that these problems are homegrown. And the caller made mention of specific, statement when he said they are our children. We know them. When you know a problem, it's like the solution to such a problem is already halfway solved. So it is now all about, going to meet, the vital persons in that region and see how they can cope up this whole thing. But let me remind us that when this whole thing was starting up in this region, it was as if, yes, they were doing, they were actually the voice of the people, the voice of the voiceless. They were speaking for those who could not actually, have the voice to actually speak for themselves. And now it's beginning to dawn on the same region that it is not all about them speaking for us now. It's about even bringing more mayhem to us. And back to, President Tinubu becoming the president of the ECOWAS region. It's a thumbs up for Nigeria. I must commend that. It's a very big thumbs up. And let us not forget also that, just like the previous caller actually said, if you remove Nigeria from ECOWAS, I wouldn't want to say they are nothing, because I believe it's all about, bringing on board technocrats who could, bring about ideas on developing the region per se. And, Tinubu becoming the president of the ECOWAS body. Chairman of ECOWAS. Yeah, the chairman of ECOWAS, yes, sorry. I believe it's a kind of it's a way forward to start with for the country. And we shouldn't begin to say things like, I think Nigerians, it's been something so in us that we tend to speak so illy about our own country in foreign, country, in foreign lands. Maybe because we kind of see this, good faces and trying to make it seem like, okay, you are the good person and the country entirely is the bad one. You are Nigerian, you are a Nigerian. Whatever you speak against your nation, you are part of it. Whether you like it or not, you can't fool any other person. So we should begin to adopt this attitude of speaking positively first about ourselves. This is not to undermine the fact that if you see something wrong, we shouldn't speak about it. But we should be mindful and, careful about what we say, especially regarding the number one, citizen of that country. We tend to speak so you know, anything about our president, we just speak, maybe because there is no kind of, you know, law, you know, putting these persons under check and probing one or two, or probably persecuting one or two persons. So we just feel like we can come on air, talk to our president the way we want, and we, you know, nothing happens. I mean, it's high time Nigeria, it's high time we just need to up our game, trying to make us feel like, fine, we know the things is not actually going on. Go to the US today. They have their own internal, you know, issues, security challenges. They have it. Mention any country in the world today. They have. It's China, Russia, they have their own internal issues. So it shouldn't be like Nigeria having internal issues, just like, you know, it's unheard of. No country has anything of that nature. We do, everybody do have. So it's all about bringing on board this, you know, persons on how to see how we can develop ourselves, you know, bringing on board these good names within ourselves. The problem we are facing in foreign countries, you know, the last call I mentioned, Benin here, but on just last week here, but I even went there, the way they even no regard for your passport. And you begin to ask yourself, what could this be the president also the problem of this issue? No, but you see Nigerians out there, they keep on telling us these things that are not even what we want to hear. You see Nigerians telling people, our politician, our president is a very, I don't want to use some kind of language here now because I know, you know, people are listening. But we know these things. So we shouldn't bring in every problem and put it on the heads of the president. No, we have subordinates who are there, which are the government, the local government chairman, the councillors or what have you. They are there also. Let them, you know, sit together, brainstorm themselves and see how they can, you know, arrest this issue to an extent before now the president can now come in to say, okay, I think we should now put the final finishing touches to this from this angle, based on what he has saying that they've done so far to cover the same problem. Thank you, Uncle.
Thank you very much for calling in. Really appreciate your call. And, well, I suppose at the end of the day, the way our people are looking at it is that governance that you're talking about, it tends to be local. So, you know, they say all politics is local. Well, there's a sense in which governance is that way as well. Because people, even in spite of the subject matter, it started off when the gentleman called in and said he wanted to go outside of that sort of, you know, as, you know, being polite, saying, taking the excuse that he wanted to go out of that, and then brought up this whole matter, which I thought we probably wouldn't address. But I don't think it is out of the parameters of what TINUBU said when he was at the ECOWAS meeting. He was speaking about the political will. You know, just as you've just finished saying, sincerity of purpose is another aspect. It is often said that we all know the truth, but, you know, we're not going to speak the truth because it's not convenient to do so. I don't know that anybody is going to admit as much, but that's the general impression people get. Well, TINUBU was talking about the political will that to do the needful, that he would strive. He said, and I'm quoting directly his words, "I will ensure that we immediately harmonize all the plans that they have in ECOWAS to mobilize resources against all this kind of criminality to our sub-region." And very importantly, I noticed that he said he also would be spearheading the political will towards the actualization of those initiatives. So I imagine political will to do the right thing. They might not be the same, it might not be the same kettle of fish, but that was said of the whole Boko Haram challenge as well, that we are still looking for the political will with which to do the needful. Mazi OKOROAFOR, good morning to you, sir. Thank you for holding on.
Good morning, sir. Good morning, I guess. What you are supposed to do, congratulations to our president for being the chairman of ECOWAS. In Mali, Eritrea and Ethiopia, Burkina Faso and other African countries, we have seen even the Sudan we are talking about. If it's not taken, Sudan is going to have three Sudan: South Sudan, Sudan North, and Sudan, which is not healthy. So there is need for African leaders to find a solution that this coup will not coming up evident. That is to say, African leaders, when you enter the office, do the needful. Because I can't imagine what is happening in Sudan. See the type of fighting in Sudan since Saturday, Sunday. Terrible. That is is too much in that place. Now you ask yourself, What are the military? What happened to the type of ECOWAS we had before? Can they come on board at least to solve this problem? So I will tell the president that they should. And even the trade we are talking about, is look at the trade system. That today, paper is telling us that Nigerian oil are being smuggled to neighboring African countries. It's not on the ECOWAS. What is the essence of this free trade, which the government should start, the ECOWAS president should start to make it, let it balance. Anything we are doing there, you can move to any African country and go there, do your business and come back. With this security, they say they will provide for us. Where is it? So let the president do the needful. Make sure all these things work. Free trade, let it be well. And it's not healthy. Mali is gone. Gambia, yes. And Eritrea and Ethiopia, honestly speaking, it's not healthy. Good morning.
Good morning, Mazi OKOROAFOR. Thank you very much. Just as President Tinubu was saying, we have to stand firm, paraphrasing his words now, we have to stand firm on democracy. And he particularly frowned at the whole idea about, look, we raise these armies, we fund these armies, we do everything for them to be called army, and so it was most unacceptable for them to then, for soldiers to turn their guns on the civilian authority. So he was like emphasizing and re-emphasizing that democracy is the only way, and good governance, as Dr. Kayode Esuola, who was with us at the earlier in the program, first half of the program, since then, no fault of his, but technical issues, he has sort of cut away. So it goes there. Let me take our last caller this morning, Mr. Ilyasu in Kaduna. Good morning to you, sir.
Good morning, Mr. Yori.
Please go ahead.
How is work over there?
Thank you very much.
Thank you. You're welcome. I'll first commend Mr. President being the chairman ECOWAS of Chairman ECOWAS, and at the same time, I want to. Hello.
Yes, we can hear you.
Hello.
I can hear you.
Okay. I want to. Okay. To speak on the other caller from the pastor. Is it Pastor what? Pastor Dominic.
Oh, okay. Yes.
Yeah, Pastor Dominic.
Who complained about the state of affairs in the southeast?
Our southeast. Have they forgotten what is happening in the north here? When we are complaining, people there are thinking whether we are just forming. Do you understand? Now, when it comes to their place now, all of them are complaining now. We know what we are facing here in the north. It wasn't easy. You don't sleep in the north. And that's why you find out that we are crying seriously. Government should come to our aid and see what they can do and put away this insecurity of a thing in the north. I don't know. Now, you said you are in the village. You saw what is happening. When you was in the city, he's not seeing what is happening there. He's not knowing what is happening there. It's when he went to the village, that is now he believes that is happening. And it's made mention of something that they knew those boys. If you know your problem, the problem is solved. Do you understand? If you have a problem and you are able to discover the panacea, you are solved. Problem is solved. So he's complaining about, he said he know them, they know those boys. Let them go and pick them out.
All right.
Pick them out.
All right. Okay.
Pick them out so that the government can deal with them.
Okay.
And I think I have another point to make again.
Okay, quickly.
Mr. President, he talk about political will in the Abadia. Political will cannot work without the people around you. The people around you, they have a parochial and impragmatic political will. So if those people around him are still there, we believe in them. Do you understand? He believe in them and put them around him. It can never work. It happened during the last regime, during Buhari regime.
All right. I'm going to have to think.
And I'm seeing that, and I began to see that again with him.
All right. Well, but I just wanted to add that President Tinubu, yes, he was speaking about political will, but he was speaking among his brothers, heads of government. That is the context in which he was saying that he would work with them to bring to bear the political will to do the right thing. It refers to him, but he wasn't really talking about Nigeria per se. It was more about the sub-region, I think. Nevertheless, thank you very much for contributing for contributing that to the program. Okay, we're going to have to leave it there. And also, maybe I should thank our guest, not maybe, I definitely should thank Dr. Kayode Esuola, Associate Prof of Political Behavior Institute of African and Diaspora Studies, University of Lagos, who was with us for part of the program. So thank you very much for being with us. We're going to have to leave it here now. Please join us tomorrow for a fresh edition. I am Iyori Folarin. Bye-bye for now.
Every major news story is with many perspectives and layered with different levels of impact.
Honey, what time did this happen? We will be right there.
At TVC News, we follow the big and major news, gathering the facts, witnessing the outcome.
I am here live at the aftermath of the approval of the new national minimum wage.
We are TV Station of the Year, not just for breaking news, but for being first, fair and accurate. TVC News, first with breaking news.
Doubt and fear doesn't occur at the canvas, it shows in the canvas. It shows the conation of raw earthen material slabbed, stroked and molded at a pace provided by the doubt and fear. Every move way in the struggle of one to the other, merging the past to the present, brushstrokes of colors seen but not known. For when the wailing stops, the pieces settle down in abject beauty, erected for a century of a century.
The following is a paid presentation by ShopX TV.
Do you spend the night trying to get comfortable? Your knees rub bone on bone, your back and hips ache. You wake up in pain? Not anymore. ShopX TV is proud to introduce the Contour Legacy Pillow, the patented, ergonomically designed tapered leg pillow that naturally fits the contours of your legs, knees and thighs to help align your spine and alleviate pain. Watch, when you sleep on your side, your leg falls forward, twisting your pelvis and lower back, putting pressure on your spine, hip and sciatic. But the Contour Legacy Pillow cushions your knees and cradles your legs, relieving stress on joints while restoring your lower back alignment. Sleeping on your side, your leg comes over and puts you out of alignment, causing lower back pain, hip pain, even knee pain. By using the Contour Legacy Pillow, it restores the natural alignment of the spine, helping to alleviate pain and pressure, leading to much more restful sleep. Old-fashioned leg pillows are bulky, but the anatomical design of the Legacy Pillow fits perfectly the shape of your body the way nature intended. You can even use two together for full leg alignment. Legacy Pillow is exclusively ventilated, so it always stays cool and dry. With top crescent design, it cuddles up to you perfectly and easily moves with you. Ordinary pillows go flat, but the Legacy Pillow is made up of soft memory foam, so it never loses its shape and the cover is machine washable. The Contour Legacy Pillow is now available in Nigeria, exclusively from ShopX TV. You could be paying up to 500,000 naira for an orthopedic bed that doesn't properly support your spine. But call the number on your screen now and get 2 Legacy leg pillows for just 69,900 naira and get relief from back and hip issues. But wait! If you call now, we'll upgrade you to the Contour Better Sleep Collection. The collection comes with 2 Contour Legacy leg pillows and 2 Contour Cool Gel head pillows at no extra charge. The Contour Cool Gel head pillows' soothing orthopedic support will cradle your head and neck for full alignment, while keeping you cool all through the night for the best sleep of your life. Incredible! That's 2 Contour Legacy pillows and 2 Cool Gel head pillows for just 69,900 naira. And that's not all. Place your order now and we'll also deliver your Contour Better Sleep collection with no shipping charge. But hurry! This is an exclusive ShopX TV offer and only available for a limited period. So, call now while stock lasts. Your rest is your wealth.
The proceeding was a paid presentation brought to you by ShopX TV.
Wherever the big news story is happening, we're geared up to break it. TVC News, first with breaking news.
Politics is defined as getting what, where, when, and how. But in the mix, many things come to play to shape the political fortune of any country.
Honorable Minister, this is how you misinform the public.
From the political actors to
Hello and thank you for joining us on TVC Midday News. We begin this half hour with the story coming from Plateau State. Now, following the swift intervention of security forces led by the General Officer commanding 3rd Division and Commander Operation Safe Haven to restore calm to troubled areas in MANGU local government, the Plateau State Governor Caleb Mutfwang has relaxed the 24-hour curfew imposed on the area. The curfew is now to be observed between 7 p.m. and 6 a.m. The decision was reached after a review of the security situation and the local government by the State Security Council to allow students writing the National Examination Council and Junior Secondary School examination. The movement within the local government will be restricted between the hours of 7 p.m. to 6 a.m. until further notice, except for security personnel and persons on essential duties. Security agencies have been directed to ensure total enforcement of the curfew within the period under review. Meanwhile, the National Youth Service Corps has announced the relocation of its orientation camp from the permanent site in MANGU to YA Foundation in Doidu Jos South local government area. The NYSC, through its Director of Press and Public Relations, Eddie Megwa, revealed the development in a statement on Monday. Mr. Megwa, in the statement, emphasized that, quote, all prospective Corps members are by this information expected to report at the new orientation camp on the dates specified in their call-up letters. Though the NYSC officials in the state did not give reasons for the development, many believe that it may not be unconnected with the recent attacks on MANGU communities. More than 400 people are believed to have lost their lives following persistent militiamen attacks in recent times on the communities. Now, armed bandits in the early hours of Tuesday allegedly killed 4 policemen in Bungudu local government area of Zamfara State. The officers were said to have been ambushed by the terrorists while on a temporary checkpoint along Bungudu's Sakwato Road and opened fire on them. Bungudu local government area is less than 30 kilometers from Gusau, the state capital. Spokesperson for the Zamfara Police Command, Yazid Abubakar, who confirmed the attack, did not say if any policeman was killed, but promised to provide more information as it unfolds. One person from a nearby village, Tagero in Fufuri district, was also killed by the terrorists, while unspecified number of cattle were rustled. The police also say troops are on the trail of the killers and assured they will be apprehended and be brought to book. Communities in the local